Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Rise and Thrive with EHE Health, an interactive series where we discuss all things health together. So as you all know, summer is a time for fun and relaxation, and especially in the midst of all the excitement, sometimes we can forget how draining it is, especially when we forget to stop for a minute and take a time to rest and hydrate. Also, staying properly hydrated is a big role in staying healthy and also contributes to our ability to do all the things that we love and that we enjoy, especially during our summers. To talk more on that, today I'm joined by Leah Cohen, a registered dietitian headquartered in Ardsley, New York, and she's here to help us talk about hydration. Leah, would you like to share a little more about yourself?
Yes, my name is Leah Cohen. I am a registered dietitian. I am the founder of Leah Cohen Nutrition, a virtual nutrition counseling private practice. So I work one-on-one with clients who want to manage their weight, who want to manage blood sugar, any chronic health conditions, digestion issues, or who just want to feel better overall. And I work with people also, on improving their relationship to food as well. I'm so happy that you included me today to talk about hydration. This is such an overlooked topic when it comes to nutrition and wellness, especially in the summertime, like you mentioned, you're sweating more, you're moving more, and it is important to be conscious of rehydrating, replenishing all of the fluids in your body. And as we'll talk about, paying attention to fluid balance with things like electrolytes. So if you want to jump right into it, I can talk about the benefits of hydration. So hydration is important for literally every organ system in the body. I always tell my clients, if there is one place to start in terms of making healthy lifestyle changes, it's hydration. Keeping hydrated regulates body temperature. It keeps our blood volume at a healthy level. So that means that it keeps our blood pumping normally. If you're super dehydrated and your blood volume drops, it can drop your blood pressure and you can start to feel dizzy, faint, weak. So it's really important for your cardiovascular system to stay hydrated.
And those are definitely things some people overlook sometimes when they think about dehydration and getting proper hydration during the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it also right now, I think immune system function is on everybody's mind. And being hydrated does make sure that we can properly fight infection. And not only that, but it supports our detoxification organs in our body, the main one being the kidneys. So if you're not hydrated, you're not going to be urinating as much. You're not going to be detoxifying the body as well as you would be when you're adequately hydrated. And it also helps deliver nutrients to our cells. So in all of those ways, it really supports our body's ability to maintain homeostasis and to fight infection, which is really important right now.
Especially in this kind of world with COVID and everything going on, fighting infection is even more important than ever before.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of times we think of things like vitamin C or zinc or all these amazing nutrients that help our bodies fight infection. We don't always think about the role that hydration plays, and also aside from that, if you're active, you don't have to be engaging in intentional exercise, but even if you're just walking around during the day a lot, doing chores, running errands, proper hydration is really important for muscle function and electrolyte balance, right? So if we're dehydrated, you might feel crampy in your muscles, you might feel muscle weakness. So for that reason as well, especially during the summertime when you are more active, it is important to support your muscles in that way.
No, definitely. And even when it comes to running errands during the day, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of unless you think about it or really get on top of it as a healthy habit for yourself, it's kind of hard to keep it going. And especially learning the habit now and kind of getting used to it, that definitely will help you later in life. And just with you being able to do all of your daily activities. I know me, especially if I'm dehydrated, I just am not a functioning person. Like I feel it in my body very, very heavily. And so especially recently, since I've been here at EHE, I've been introduced to the Hydrate Spark water bottle, which pretty much flashes with a smart sensor and it glows to remind you to drink. So like that's been really helpful in reminding me because I've been very forgetful.
I love that.
Yeah, just like a super busy day, like with the commute coming in and going home and just all my activities during the day, it's been really helpful for me just to see what I need to drink water, like what my intake is so far. And like, it's just one of those things that like, it's made it a lot easier for me personally to get hydrated.
I love that. I think that's such a big obstacle when it comes to staying hydrated is that people just forget or they don't remember how much water they've drank so far in the day. So they're not sure how much more they need to go to meet their goal. And I always tell my clients, and I'll get to more tips and tricks too, but like carry around a water bottle, that is, or if you're at a desk all day, keep a big water bottle by your desk, like the one you just mentioned. What is it called? Smart Spark?
It's the Hydrate Spark water bottle.
Hydrate Spark.
And also, for some reason for me, especially when like I have a nice pretty water bottle and like I noticed it, it's one of those things like I can't like not remember to use it just because it's like I just love it, like the way it looks. Yeah.
It's so true. It's like you have to make it with any behavior change,
It's like personalized in a way.
Personalized, exactly. And make it enticing and fun, so I'm all for exactly the latest water bottle with cool smart tech, or again, just getting a fun color. I think that's a really great tip. And too, like you mentioned, feeling sluggish and you feel it in your body when you're dehydrated, not only in your muscles and in your body, but in your brain. So like hydration plays a big important when it comes to, big function when it comes to mental health as well. So, when it comes to the brain, if you're dehydrated, you might feel sluggish, you might feel anxious even, because when you are dehydrated, your heart has to pump more since your blood pressure goes down. So you might find that your heart rate increases. And then when your heart rate increases, it can trigger anxiety, so you can have headaches, difficulty concentrating, low energy. And I'm sure we can all attest to, you don't need to be severely dehydrated to feel all of these negative side effects. Like even just mild dehydration, you can find that, you get that headache or you can't focus at work, you're feeling a little shaky or anxious. So it's really important just mentally to stay sharp and on point as well.
Besides that, with everything with going on your body, do you think that there are any specific like tips or tricks besides the water bottle that you think would help, like maybe putting in like fruit to your water or something that would like kind of like spice it up?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with the fruit. So like we just said, it needs to be enticing, needs to be a little exciting. It needs to be something that you want to do, and some people just don't love plain water all day long. So absolutely, citrus fruits are my personal favorite. So adding lemon, lime, oranges, grapefruits, cucumbers, even strawberries, any type of berry is delicious in water, and also a nice alternative to something like a sweetened beverage. So, of course you want to be hydrating all day long, but you also don't want to be drinking sugar sweetened beverages all day long, so sweetening your water naturally with things like citrus fruits or any fruit for that matter is really helpful. Flavored seltzer is a great one. Things like, any flavored seltzer, but I personally love Spindrift. Have you had
Spindrift? I love Spindrifts.
It is.
They are so good.
And they flavor them naturally with real.
Yeah, you can taste the comparison between some other brands.
Definitely. So most seltzers are using, natural flavors, which is totally fine. But it is like a chemical in your water to make it taste like a certain type of fruit. Whereas in the Spindrift, they're adding the actual lemon, the actual grapefruit, whatever it is. And you can really taste the difference. It tastes more almost like a juice, and they're so good, and they're not overly sweet. Each can has 3, maybe 4 grams of sugar, and they're so delicious. But again, any flavored seltzer, ideally one that it does not have added sugar in it, is a great way to hydrate. Or even herbal tea. We don't think of we just think about water, but herbal teas and flavored seltzers also contribute to your overall goal when it comes to hydration. Another great tip that I always use with my clients is to fill up a large glass of water. So something like this size, like you want it to be like 16 ounces, and put it on your bedstand before you go to bed. And then first thing in the morning, like before you get out of bed, before you have your coffee, before you have your breakfast, you don't even have to think about it. Just reach for the glass on your bed and your nightstand and drink it before you even get out of bed. Because when you sleep, you don't think about it, but just breathing, you lose a lot of water just through respiration.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think upwards of 1 liter, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why when you wake up in the morning too, like you feel lighter, you lose like a couple pounds of water weight overnight. So replenishing that first thing in the morning makes sure that now you're not starting the day dehydrated. Like if you just get up, get out of bed, have your coffee. So now you're having a diuretic, and then you eat and you go about your day, you're active, and it's 10 a.m. and you haven't had any water. Like you're already setting yourself up to be dehydrated and not feeling great throughout the day. Like people are amazed at just what that one thing, having that water first thing in the morning, does for their mood and even for their digestion. I will never forget one client said to me like, oh my gosh, I am going to the bathroom now every morning, and I never had that happen for me before. And it was just the water in the morning.
Well, I also feel like a big thing is everyone like expects to start their day off with coffee. But at the same time, I feel like the benefits of hydration and the energy it could give you, people really overlook. Like, I mean, I know for me personally, I always pick up and have a cup of coffee, but like sometimes it makes me even more drowsy just because once the coffee wears off, I haven't had any water.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's like, have your coffee. By no means am I messing with people's coffee routine. I personally, like, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Do your coffee, but only after you've had that 16 ounces of water. That being said, you really don't want to drink more than 1 liter. So that's a really big bottle of water. Most people would never do this on anyways, but you don't want to drink more than 1 liter in an hour. I mean, if you think of that, like 2 to 3 liters is your goal for the day. So you probably wouldn't be drinking more than 1 liter in an hour anyways, but just in terms of your kidneys and what your kidneys can process at one time, you do want to be cognizant of that as well, because there is something called hyponatremia, where you drink too much water too quickly and you dilute your blood so much that your sodium levels fall, and that can have negative consequences for your heart rhythm. It could, cause fainting and other serious consequences. So you don't want to go too far in the other direction either.
No, definitely. I don't know. I feel like there's a very wide spectrum in terms of how you could go about getting more water, but I feel like a lot of times, like, you kind of jump right into it and try to drink as much as you can and just kind of overlook the fact that like you could be drinking too much at one time.
Exactly. A good meter, it sounds a little silly and simple, but it's good to have that overarching goal again of between 2 and 3 liters is a great place to start. You don't need to be drinking like a gallon of water. But looking at your urine, is your urine pale yellow? If so, awesome, you're doing great. Keep at it. And if you're seeing like, more of a bright yellow or a darker yellow, like that really means that unless it's because you're on some medication that changes the color of your urine, but that probably means that it's time to drink more water. So that's a really simple gauge you can use as well. I mean, and also just your thirst level, if you're feeling thirsty, you're probably already a little mildly dehydrated. So keeping on top of your thirst and staying ahead of your thirst is helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. Also, as an addition, do you think there are any sort of things that like people should probably steer away from or like limit their intake of to like maintain their hydration or like just reduce like dehydration like
Absolutely.
effects?
Absolutely. So, well, first, in order to optimize your hydration, it's important not only to be drinking water, but to be paying attention to your electrolyte intake as well. So, and when we say electrolyte, we mean sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. Sodium being a really important one here because, I think a lot of times sodium gets a bad rap because it's in highly processed foods. So like, of course, you shouldn't be getting too much sodium from things like highly processed packaged foods like potato chips and fast food and all of that. But like adding salt to your food while you're cooking is really wonderful in terms of staying hydrated. Because if you think about it, salt makes you retain water, so I'm sure anybody who's had like an overly salty meal can attest to the fact that your rings might feel tight or you might feel a little puffy the next day. But if you're having not enough sodium, you could wind up peeing out all of the water that you're drinking and not retaining it. This is actually, interestingly enough, especially true for people on lower carbohydrate diets, which is kind of popular right now. So anyways, add salt to your food is what I'm trying to say, unless you have some type of salt sensitive hypertension, high blood pressure, but it is important to get some sodium in and to make sure that you're maintaining your fluid balance. So don't be shy in terms of like adding salt to your eggs in the morning or whatever, a salad or your pasta, whatever you're making. If you're making chicken, or any type of meat, season it with salt. Potassium, bananas are most famous for potassium, but really if you're eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, especially avocado, tomato, potato, banana, like I said, then you'll probably be getting a good amount of potassium. So it's not just the water, you want to make sure that you're getting your electrolytes as well. On the flip side of that, like sometimes sports drinks, like, that are very high in sugar, which they also do have electrolytes added to them, might not be the best option in terms of hydrating. So you can get all of these electrolytes from natural sources. You don't need to be drinking high sugar sports drinks all day long in order to get these electrolytes. And for that matter, any sugary sweetened beverage probably isn't the best choice in terms of hydration. Coffee is an interesting one. I feel like it gets a bad rap in terms of hydration. It's not necessarily dehydrating. And so this is kind of a misconception that drinking caffeine or coffee will cause you to be dehydrated. It just makes you, it's a diuretic. So it just makes you urinate more than like a water would. So the net effect, like coffee is mostly water, so the net effect is hydrating, but you do want to make sure to be drinking a good amount of water on top of your coffee, since you will have more losses with the coffee. And that's true for any caffeinated beverage. But again, like an herbal tea has no caffeine, and that's a really nice way to hydrate. In the summertime, you could do like an iced mint tea. Any herbal tea, if you stick it in the fridge, is really delicious iced. Trying to think of other things like in terms of to stay away from. I would say when it comes to beverages, not only sweeteners like sugar, honey, agave, but artificial sweeteners too, you might want to cut back on. I know that's a sensitive one for a lot of people too. I work with plenty of clients who really don't want to give up that Diet Coke. So I totally understand, but it's definitely something to be mindful of. They can have negative effects for some people with their gut, like, certain types of artificial sweeteners are not so well tolerated by the gut. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. And with that goes sugar alcohols as well. You might find that some beverages are sweetened with the sugar alcohol, something like anything like sorbitol, anything with an OL at the end. And those definitely can cause digestive distress. So it's best to stick with the basics,
Yeah.
water, seltzer,
Mhm.
flavor your water, flavor your seltzer, try something. If you are like a soda person, try an alternative like a Spindrift or any type of flavored seltzer. But yeah, you can't go wrong with the basics.
Yeah. And also I feel like in a lot of ways, especially coffee, like everyone likes to sweeten their coffee and put in like creamers and things like that. So like that, I think especially is why it gets like a very not a great reputation in terms of hydration.
Right. You're
Yeah,
totally right.
same with like chips and things like that, because everyone assumes like you put like salt, like there's a ton of salt in chips, like it's probably not good for you. And, yeah.
You're so right about the sweeteners in the coffee.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between having like a coffee with some milk versus like the coffee with milk and a ton of sugar and the cream on the top. And for sure.
Yeah. And I'm definitely guilty of that personally.
Of course. And as a treat, like once in a while, that's totally fine. Like I'm a big fan too of all foods fit. There's nothing that you need to cut, even with like Diet Coke, we're talking hydration and beverages, even with something like a Diet Coke, like I never like to say to a client, like, you can never have this thing again. Like if going to the movies and having a Diet Coke and a popcorn is like a really nice treat for you, absolutely go for it. It's really, you want to look at the things that you're doing every single day and multiple times a day and make the swaps there first.
Yeah, that's a really good note actually, because I feel like in a lot of ways people think that like the healthy swaps are more like day to day versus like in a general span of time, which is I think an important thing that should like is good to be noted, just because like especially with hydration, it's like one day you could start doing something, but like the next day you won't. It's more about like building the habit.
100%. It's consistency, like such a cliche, but consistency is key. And I think hydration is a really good place to start in terms of behavior change, because these behavior changes too, like if you're looking to get healthier, to feel better, they snowball. So you might find that once you're really well hydrated, like you're feeling like, oh wow, I don't have that lingering headache that I always have. And I feel like you said, I have more energy in the morning. My digestion is better. Like I'm going to the bathroom regularly, all of these wonderful things. And then that might motivate you to, hey, you know what? I'm going to add some more vegetables into my diet. And maybe I'll just try having half a plate of vegetables at dinner, even just a few times this week. And these tiny little habits stack on top of one another. And then before you know it, a year goes by and you're like, wow, I feel so much different than I did a year ago. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, that's really crazy actually, to think about how like just a little change in like how you drink water can change just so many parts about your body and like how you feel. And it's definitely overlooked in terms of like nutrition, because I feel like everyone kind of focuses on nutrition, but like it's like water sometimes overlooked, but it's definitely like a pair.
100%. I think, like for anybody out there who's listening, hydration is a really wonderful place to start. And it does have so many amazing benefits, again, for every organ system in your body and for your mood. And it also allows you to be more active, which is a goal in and of itself, so I think if there's one thing you can do for yourself, again, like try to fill that water bottle up tonight and see if you can drink it tomorrow morning, and just tune into your body and note any changes that you feel and go from there,
Yeah. No, these have been some really, really great tips. And it's really important to be able to like understand the information, and like just getting some sort of input from someone, especially who knows a lot of what they're talking about and have experienced patients who have probably gone through similar issues, is really, really has been really like insightful and just good to hear.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I seriously appreciate it. And I'm happy to chat wellness, nutrition, anytime.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for all your insight and all your information. It's been really helpful, and I guarantee everyone who's watching will also feel the same way. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Rise and Thrive. Make sure to follow us on our social medias and follow Rise and Thrive at EHE Health. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. And you can find me at Leah Cohen Nutrition. I'm on Instagram. It's my website, leahcohennutrition.com. Thank you.
Thank you.